Quarterback dominoes are falling, but not in the Gators' direction. Big news today. Quarterback Ryan Montgomery chose UGA over South Carolina and UF. Now, the Gators had been courting Montgomery for the better part of the last 6 months. He's heading to Athens now, though, but it's okay because the Gators have options. We're going to go over it. I got On3 national analyst Steve Wiltfong here today. But first, Gator fans, tap in, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We're talking Gator recruiting all offseason. Go ahead, hit subscribe. All right, let's bring in Steve Wiltfong, and we're talking QB targets here for the Gators. Let's start with KeShawn Russell. He's committed to SMU, but his recruitment is really heating up. Do the Gators have a shot at a flip here?
Well, before we saw his recruitment really spike to a national level, Florida was one of the programs that inserted themselves in the race first, got him to campus earlier this year. And when I talked to him after that visit, he talked about already loving the relationship with the coaches. Billy Napier, Coach O'Hara, and those guys do a fantastic job of connecting with top targets. That's never a problem for Florida. And KeShawn Russell feels very comfortable around them. He really loved the environment, and his relationships have only continued to get stronger with Florida. Certainly, there is a lot of competition for him. I know Husan Longstreet is committed to Texas A&M. KeShawn Russell was showing great interest in the Aggies before that. He's also mentioned places like Baylor, Oregon. Certainly SMU is going to do everything they can to keep him. Texas has also been keeping him warm. But again, Florida was one of the first national programs to kind of get on KeShawn Russell here after a fantastic junior season where he led Duncanville to a state championship. And now we see him lighting it up on the camp circuit, first and 7-on-7, and then at the Elite 11 on regional. Easy to see why Florida was in love with them. And he's a guy that certainly they'll continue to push for moving forward.
Yeah. Before we talk about Antoine Hill, I want to talk about the other flip target on the board, and that's quarterback Trell Jones. He's out of Jacksonville, Florida. He's committed to FSU now. He's saying all the right things, Steve, but he has continued to show up in Gainesville for visits. Do you think that the Gators have a legit shot down the road to flip Trell Jones?
Well, I think anytime a young man continues to get on your campus and get around your coaching staff, you can't rule anything out in today's day and age, or really any day and age of covering recruiting. But I have not heard anything as I talked to you this morning that leads me to believe that this young man's on flip watch. He's also in Tallahassee a lot. He's working hard to help Mike Norvell and company recruit that staff. Florida State was one of the first programs on him. He committed very early to them after their legacy weekend last year, if I remember correctly. And he's invested a lot of time in the Seminoles. And certainly Florida State, where their program stands right now, the season they're coming off of, the way their quarterback looked under center last year, there's a lot of reasons to still like him sticking with the Seminoles.
Yeah. Now, let's move on to quarterback Antoine Hill. He's out of the state of Georgia. He was previously committed to Colorado for literally about 2 weeks. He reopened his recruitment, and at that point, I thought he was all UFs. But does it seem like UF is making Antoine Hill a priority, at least compared to the other two names that we just talked about?
Well, he's a guy that they've gotten to campus a bunch. He was at the win over Tennessee in the fall. Love that environment and atmosphere, playing inside the swamp. That's an atmosphere that he could see himself being under center. But he's also moved on with his recruitment too. You know, Memphis is in there, Georgia Tech is in there, Duke is in there. There's other schools that he is talking to as well. In Florida, you know, we'll see. Again, coaches are about to be on the road. They can go out and see prospects throw. We'll see if some other quarterbacks start rising on the board for the Gators here in the 2025 cycle during this spring evaluation period. But we know they like KeShawn Russell a whole lot. We know they've had Antoine Hill on campus a bunch of times as well. And it'll be interesting to see if some other names emerge here this spring as they have to pivot from Ryan Montgomery, who was obviously their top target.
Yeah, and, you know, the Gators do have DJ Lagway. We just saw him last weekend in the swamp throwing touchdown. So there is a future or a former five-star already on campus. Do you think just in general this year it's going to be a tough year to pull a top-tier QB if you're the Gators?
Certainly, but, you know, places like Florida, they want to get to a point where they're playing at a level where guys want to commit to them and they just bet on themselves. They've been selling on the trail what they were able to help Anthony Richardson do in 1 year to evolve into a first round draft pick. DJ Lagway, obviously he's hoping to be done in 3 years, but you want to stack talent, particularly at that position and where they're trying to take this Florida program. They want it to be attractive to quarterbacks in every single class and find guys that are going to bet on themselves to come in and compete and see where the chips fall.
Yeah. Gator fans, talk to me. Comment section below. Who's your top target at quarterback? Who do you think UF ends up with at QB? Let me know. Thank you for watching this video. And if you enjoyed that, go check out the hundreds of videos that we have on this channel. And also do me a favor, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel.